We back with the third question from the O.J. Effect: impact of the media on Black community. Question number 3.
Okay.
For this section. What do you most remember about the O.J. trial, and which overarching issue stood out the most to you concerning society at large? And this is a free-for-all. This is only 2 of you, so whoever wants to answer first can go ahead.
I typically don't remember that much from the actual trial because I was real young. But I do remember the sensationalization of the Bronco chase and seeing that on TV and how the trial became just like a spectacle almost. And you kind of see this advent of using, dramatization of crimes and trials into that whole area of like the Nancy Grace type era. All these crimes, certain crimes are picked out and the trials are followed in this 24/7 news culture, as mentioned by one of our peeps on the couch, this environment. And so I think that's one of the things that I've taken from the O.J. trial since I'm pretty young and I don't remember how to feel about the verdict per se.
The main thing I remember about it is the different reactions during the actual verdict. Complete and total separation at this time, except for a couple of white dudes that thought they were black. they were celebrating with me and my peeps. We were also teens at this time, so but I know for sure every white adult that I knew, that I saw during that, was their face just dropped. And every every black adult I knew, they took it one of 2 ways. They were either really happy or just you could tell. Like there's some people that just took it over the top, or running and jumping like we had just got our freedom papers or something. And then there was other people that had a quiet dignity about it. It was like yeah, they were just like did the Tiger Woods. Yeah, I just remember it being completely and total opposite reactions from all of it. It was almost like the Rodney King verdict in reverse. It was amazing. Yeah. Like black people, when they saw the Rodney King thing, they were outraged and upset because they were like, finally, it's on tape. They can see this is actually happening and we're not crazy. We're not complaining. This is just a little microcosm of what really happens out in the streets all the time. And it was seen by the world and nobody cared. They still let the cops go with it. In this case, it was the exact opposite. White people said, I know that this black man killed this white girl and this white man, and I can't believe that he's being let go. And they kind of got a taste of what it felt like to be us, if only for a small moment, for a small victory, so we could just look at him and be like, now you understand what that feeling is of how the hell are we, like that feeling of, are we looking at the same thing? Do you not understand what happened here? Are we not seeing all the facts? Because it's clear that this is wrong, at least in their eyes. That's how it felt. To see them take one on the chin and feel the absolute disappointment in knowing that you were 100% correct in what you saw. Because then you start to second, like it was almost like they had to second guess everything that they believed in at that moment. You know what I mean? And they were like, am I crazy, or did we just see a man that is clearly guilty get off? We've been living with that literally since the first slave ship pulled up. And I'm glad they got a nice little taste of it.
I just thought of like the historical significance and how regardless of the verdict, or regardless of whether he committed the crime or not, it's just the same motif of a black man killing a white woman. And normally when that happens, the black man doesn't just go to jail, he dies.
Yeah, that's a layup.
Doesn't get to jail.
Yeah.
That's usually a layup.
So if he is not lynched first, if he gets to trial, he usually gets the like death penalty. And then you see the O.J. Simpson case where we're like, all right, well, he's probably gonna die or get life in jail and something like that. When you hear the not guilty verdict, it just seems like it's in a weird kind of way, like a reprieve for all of the innocent black men who went to jail in that same kind of
Yeah.
in that same kind of pattern. That had
And,
happened.
and that's the thing about it is people just thought we were just happy because everyone was a big O.J. Simpson fan.
Like,
They
no.
didn't have a damn thing to do with O.J. That could have been anyone. That could have been any black man.
I think
on
that's
trial.
I think that's
It
the
could have
part
been
that
O.J., Tyson, Tupac. We don't care.
yeah. I think that's the
It
part
could have
that
been Joe up the street. We still would have been like,
Yes.
now you understand how it feels to have this kind of disappointment on this level. And we've been living with it for literally hundreds of years.
yeah, and I think that that's something that I think that people didn't quite understand from their perspective because they've never had to look at things from other people's perspective in terms of white folks, like not understanding how it feels to clearly see someone as quote unquote guilty
Yes.
and have them get off right in front of you, and you're just like, how do you explain?
Yeah,
how do you explain this?
Explain this.
yeah. Guy on the couch, man. What you got? What you got for the third question? Under the impact of media on the black community, the O.J. effect.
All right, question number 3. What do you most remember about the O.J. trial, and which overarching issue stood out the most to you concerning society at large? So we're going to actually read 2 responses. First one's from Reese Bay, who really cuts to the point here. Reese Bay says, how divided the classmates were, ultimately how divided America is/was. The other response is from Webster, 1957. He or she says, I remember most the fascination that people had with the process of watching a murder trial in real time. Honestly, I think that black people tuned in based on who O.J. was, and white people tuned in to see him get what they felt he deserved, the death penalty. After all, what made the trial such a hot topic is not that he was on trial for murder. It was that he was on trial for killing Nicole Simpson. If he was on trial for murdering his first wife, I do not feel that white America would have been invested like they were in the outcome. To me, the overarching issue highlighted by the passion associated with the verdict is that much of white America still felt like blacks should know their place of inferiority. I heard angry mutterings of things like they let that big end get away with killing that beautiful woman when the judgment was announced. There was not nearly as much outrage for the acquittal of Nazi war criminals as there was for O.J., which suggests that regardless of how people think they feel, when the stakes are high, the real feelings may be quite different. Back to you.
Yeah. Great comments from the website, man.
Yeah, everything that they said was very, very accurate. Very accurate. The feeling and the tension and
The division.
the division and the, like he said, like what he say when what was it, the Nazi trials?
Yeah.
Yeah, they felt a bigger way about OJ than something like that.
Yeah.
We were talking about a guy that may or may not have killed a white girl in a bar. What was it, a waiter? Oh, no, white guy waiter. Versus someone who's
Responsible for millions.
pretty much responsible for millions, or at least a part of the help of killing millions.
Mm-hmm.
That's how deep this thing runs.
With the people on the web, they've been doing a good job, I think, in their analyzations. And I think that I have to agree with the person who talked about the division and showing the divide in America. And I think that's something that this trial, the O.J. Simpson trial, and further trials that have been highly racially charged, and with the George Zimmerman trial, it really goes to show the division in America and how people really perceive of what crimes and who the victims really are and what punishments those who commit crimes against those victims deserve. And it tends to be where if the victim, especially if there's a white woman involved, there still seems to be such outrage, especially if done by someone who's black, or especially with someone who's rich too, because black people aren't supposed to even have this much money. And now you have the combination of both the race and the class. It hits a bunch of nerves that a lot of people would never admit to having, or not even fully think that they have, all these unconscious biases. I think these types of trials really bring out those.
We'll get to my favorite part of the day, which is my take But before I get to that, again, go to the website, which is www.blackadvancement.com, and check out some of these different tabs on the website. One of them is topics. We've come up with all these great topics you hear us debate and talk about all the time, and the people on the website react to. Don't think that those topics are just limited to the people in the core group. You also can come up with topics, and we'll also discuss them and try to address them. Not only that, but we also do events. Mostly we do fundraisers and also live symposiums. Our next live symposium is going to be June 3rd of this year, and it's going to be on the gun issue in the black community, which I expect to be a highly explosive debate, no pun intended. Anybody? Never mind. And the biggest thing that the Black Advancement Incorporated is all about is solutions. We're not just about talking about things, we're about doing things. As I used to say to people, I am not an activist, I am an actionist, meaning that I go out and actually do things to help combat the problems within the black community. So, check out our solutions page. If you see something that you like, try to get involved. If you see something that is wrong that you want to fix, write in with a suggestion. And if you have a chance to, just call us up. See what we can do if you have something that you feel needs to be addressed within the black community. Next, we'll do my take, and everyone else will be quiet because you know why. Yeah, you know why. Yeah. Hello, and we're back for the last section, which is my take on all the 3 questions that we went over concerning O.J.Effect, impact of media on the black community. Question number 1, does the media make more of some instances or crimes with a racial component than it should? Why or why not? Of course it does. The reason why, I think this was probably plainly stated. I think that everything runs on certain systematic things here, and the way that the system operates, it's meant to show some people as more dangerous towards other people. This, I could get into a longer theory, a bigger theory about this, how white folks in general, because of the way that they have taken power and have been in place within the American history and within the American society, are very worried and suspicious of anyone else who begins to rise up or bubble up, and feels that they might do the same things that they had done when they were in charge. So therefore, they're always very fearful. Cite this last election as evidence of that. Do you feel that the media shows black crime suspects pictures on purpose more often? Why or why not? It's pretty much the same answer as the first one. Although I don't think this is nearly as cut and dry of a question as you would think. It certainly appears to me and most people who actually watch the news and who watch these things that happen, that they definitely highlight black and brown people and poor people, as you said before, as the people who they show in these criminal cases, prior to them even being convicted or arrested. So it's also interesting how that could play into a jury pool and how that could impact a jury pool itself. Question number 3, what do you most remember about the O.J. trial, and what overarching issue stood out the most to you concerning society at large? The thing that I remembered mostly about the O.J. trial, I remember the reaction of the people, but I want to more so focus on the second part of the question. And that was more so like I was stunned by a few years prior to that, the Rodney King thing had happened, and how a lot of people just did not react the same way. They didn't have the same gut feeling. More people reacted to the riot of what happened to Rodney King than what happened to Rodney King himself in the white community. You can say what you want about that, but that's what really happened. And then when the O.J. Simpson trial happened itself, they took that as if they were victims. They took it as if they were victimized, leaving out the idea of there are countless white people who have been killing black people for years and getting away with it. Matter of fact, the police themselves have been involved in the murders, and no one got even put to trial. No one even went to trial. This doesn't even mention, like Deanna had said before. This had all the trappings of the drama of black man, white woman type thing, right? I mean, if you think about it, there are whole towns that literally burn to the ground over things like this. There are whole towns that burn to the ground off of the word of a white woman saying that a black man had harassed them. Just recently, the woman who had accused Emmett Till of making a pass at her came out with a book saying that that was a lie, which I don't know about you guys, but I was shocked by.
Were you?
No, but but imagine how surprised you would be if I was. But
That's
More
what I'd be
surprising.
surprised
yeah. I was like,
Word, son?
gasp. She was lying. But that's the truth and the reality and the history that is hard to bring up, and that is hard to probably bring up in mixed company, but is the truth, unfortunately. And this was the one time where a black guy got off, and I talked to the guy on the couch about this, like off wax. But I mean, like, pretty much this is the one time where he got off because he had the money to be able to get off, and the system is exposed for what it is. You if you have the money to be able to hire the best people to argue your point of view, and to not prove that you're not guilty, but to prove that you may not be guilty, then you might be able to go home. But unfortunately, most of us don't have that money. Present company excluded. Yeah, I know. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We really do appreciate it. Our next topic will be much less controversial, which is black on black crime, which is the last topic also under the Justice or Just Us section. Like us on Facebook at The Black Advancement, or you can follow us on Twitter at BA Inc. 44. Black People Advance. Shout out to Hampton University.